Hello everyone, it's me, Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and it is time for our weekly messages for the collective. You ready? Good. Alright, so let me just start by saying y'all are probably, again, going to be cringing at me a little bit because this message is probably going to hit home for quite a few people. All right, but before we get started, please, if you are enjoying the channel, make sure you're subscribing to it. And if you are liking these messages, please make sure you like and comment. So some of you always consistently commented, and I fully appreciate it. But those of you lurking, watching every week, but not really saying anything, I know you're there. So please comment. All right. So this week's message is so simple that I didn't have to write it down, but the crew wanted me to convey this. Perhaps it is your fear of being alone that is the reason that you feel lonely. Okay, so your fear of being alone may be the root cause of why you feel lonely. What are they even talking about? I am so glad you asked that. What they're talking about is the fact that a lot of people, a significant amount of people, have this fear of being alone, whether it be means I'm never going to find someone to love me, and get married or whatever, have a partner, I'm unlovable, so on and so forth. Or they're talking about being alone in terms of your spiritual path. Some of you out there are addicted to gurus. Some of you out there are addicted to workshops. Some of you out there are addicted to books. You're addicted to the searching part, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to stop, reevaluate yourself, assess what needs to be worked on, and before you move on to the next thing, right? It's this whole idea of we're entitled to quick fixes. We are entitled to loving relationships where we are accepted, so on and so forth. First of all, the truth of the matter is that's not true. All right, we talked about Namaste a couple weeks ago, and Namaste means the highest part of me honors the highest part of you, right? We talked about that. When you are not offering yourself the highest part of you, I'm not sure why you think you're entitled to enjoy the highest part of someone else. Okay, I know that might have hurt your ego a little bit, but it's the truth. I get a lot of people talking about love, I don't want to be alone, I don't want to do this, and they're talking about their spiritual path, and they don't understand how all of these things are intertwined. I don't know a clearer way to say that you can not compartmentalize your life and think you're going to be whole. I mean, let's just think about that. It's not even logical, right? I'm going to be broken over here. I'm going to be exceptional over here. I'm going to be meh over here. And I'm going to be happy. How is that even, it doesn't work in your brain, probably doesn't work on paper, and it definitely doesn't work in real life. We have to become comfortable with being alone with ourselves. This is not negotiable, people. It is not negotiable. If you are the kind of person that avoids being alone with themselves, if you're the kind of person that secretly doesn't like yourself very much, so you continue to kind of throw distractions in the way to avoid being alone with yourself, if you're that person, you're always going to be looking for the next thing or looking for the next person. And, if you're on the receiving end of that, say, for example, in a romantic situation, if you're on the receiving end of a person who's always pulling at you energetically because they want you to fill a void when what's missing is them, it's a turnoff. It is a turnoff. Not only that, if you're a person who's addicted to gurus and you're addicted to having somebody else tell you what to do, when you're the guru, when you're the leader, It can be very daunting to have someone else, and I don't suggest that anybody who's in any leadership role allow people to start becoming dependent on them. That's not a good idea, because the thing about it is at the end of the day, we're all responsible for what's going on in our lives through the choices that we make. There's a whole bunch of yeses or nos always happening, right? So sit alone for a minute. Step away from, constant stimulation, constant drama, constant running after something or someone. Step away from it and really be with yourself and find out what your root causes are. Why don't you like yourself? What horrible thing did you do to yourself to cause you not to like yourself? Is it really you that feels that way about you, or is it other people's opinions that have been projected onto you, that in your vulnerability, right, in your insecurity, you took on their feelings about you and you internalized it and you made it your own? So now you think you're unworthy, you think you're a bad person, you think you don't have any great qualities, that you're not attractive, that no one wants to be around you, when the simple fact is that you're probably just someone who doesn't know themselves very well, and you haven't taken the opportunity to get to know yourself. This is why we absolutely have to be alone. Those of you who like to run from one relationship to the other, and creating unnecessary drama because you don't want to be alone. I mean, you have to be exhausted. I'm thinking you just got to be tired, right? You just got to be tired. It's kind of like, you open door after door after door after door after door, and you still have not walked into a threshold that makes you feel like you're home. And that's because home is you. Home is here. Home is here. No one else can be your home. What someone can do is be your collaborator, be your companion, be your partner in crime, that shares this feeling of home with you. But they also have to be at home with themselves. You see how complex this all is? So, when you come to a person like me or a psychic, or you're talking with your friends about love and relationships, you cannot negate the part where you're dealing with two individuals who have their quirks, who have their idiosyncrasies, who have their, drama, their trauma, their issues, their stuff, all comes with them, right? So you can't demand that they fulfill your fantasy, your dreams, without realizing, they have their own stuff. Being alone with yourself gives you compassion and empathy for this very fact. It gives you the time to go, you know what? I'm going through my stuff. I'm working through trauma. I'm working through drama. I'm working through preconceived notions. I'm working through, unconscious biases. I'm working through stuff, right? A lot of times, the reason we have problems with other people is because we have problems with ourselves. What if, hear me out. What if you made it a conscious practice to sit alone with yourself, feel your feelings, acknowledge your feelings, and if you find something you don't like, rather than trying to cover it up, rather than trying to sweep it under a rug, rather than trying to distract yourself from it with things, with people, or giving your power away to somebody else and saying, hey, could you tell me who to be? Can you tell me the shortcuts? Rather than doing that, if you really want to address why you're feeling lonely, why you constantly have to be stimulated, you need to set aside time to listen to yourself. You need to set aside time to really assess what's going on with you. You need to make a plan to heal the parts of you that feel broken. And let's be clear, there's always going to be a time where you're feeling inadequate, you're feeling unsure, there's doubt, there's self-doubt, you're not sure you're moving in the right direction, right? That's just human nature. That's actually part of your ego. That I wouldn't even say that's your spirit. Not. I feel like spirit is always sure of itself. It's the filter of the human ego, right? And all of its choices and ability to imagine the worst. That's constantly causing doubt. Sitting with yourself creates a dialogue where you are addressing your most sacred part of yourself, and you are looking at yourself going, okay, so you're feeling unworthy today, or you're feeling broken today, you're feeling unlovable, or unattractive, and you're not understanding why you're not attracting the people that you want to be around. You have to make sure that you're somebody you want to be around. There I go again, hurting your feelings. There's no way to tell you the truth without hurting your ego. So if you didn't know that, I'm telling you, the ego wants to think that we're all here to serve it. The ego wants to think that it should not have any difficulties ever, and that the world should be served to it on a platter. The ego feels entitled all the time. So part of our work is to kind of corral it. And I don't want to say that the ego is bad, because it's not bad. It's a tool. That's what it does. It kind of keeps us humble if we allow it, right? With its, fallibility. Is that even a word? Fallibility? Anyway, with its fragility, it keeps us humbled. You're never going to get to successful where you don't have moments of doubt, right? If you're rich, if you're a person of influence, you might try to cover this up with just becoming a bully, or becoming a tyrant, or becoming a dictator. But all of those things is because you feel inadequate someplace in your ego. You have to listen to yourself. If you're on a spiritual path, you have to listen to yourself. If you are a person who just takes in information, you're taking information, you're going to all the workshops, you're going to all the gurus, you're coming to me, I'm giving you a psychic reading. Listen, in my psychic readings, I'm always giving you instruction. I'm giving you tools. I'm educating you. I can give you an excellent reading, completely accurate, and say, this is what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. You may never get there if you don't actually apply what you've learned. If you do not stop, assess your tools, decide what the path is going to be, rather than just running with no discernible destination or purpose, you're going to just exhaust yourself, and you're going to be miserable, and then you'll be mad at me, or you'll be mad at, whomever, the love interest, the guru, or whatever, that they didn't fix you. When the real truth is, you're not actively trying to fix yourself. Being alone is not negotiable in growth. It is not, even if you were a twin, you had your own kind of space, right? I know quite a few twins, and they're not the same people. It's one of those things where they either decide that they are going to assert themselves so that people can treat them as individuals, or, sometimes they're codependent, and they don't want anyone to come into their bond. But we are individuals. We were born with, separate souls, separate brains most of the time. And so we're alone. We are alone. This isn't a bad thing. This isn't like, oh my God, I'm going to be alone. I mean, if you are a person that's been in a long-term relationship of any, type, or even in a roommate situation, and you have to share a space with somebody all the time, every day, alone time becomes your favorite time. I know some of you moms are in there locking yourselves in the bathrooms because you don't want your kid to bother you. You just want to take a shower by yourself. You just want to go to the bathroom alone. You just want somebody, to forget you exist. So it really shouldn't be where we take the beauty and the sacredness and the opportunity of being alone for granted when we don't have enough alone time. It really needs to become part of our wellness practice. I feel like we are in a time that is such a great upheaval of transformation that everything we thought that we knew is being turned on its head. We have been in many societies, right, taught that being alone is bad. But if you look at all of the respected voices in spirituality, right, if you look at all the respected voices in wellness, and I'm not just talking about now somebody with 20,000 followers on whatever social app, I'm talking about people that during their time, no one was really listening, or a handful of people were listening, so they wrote books, and then anywhere from hundreds to thousands of years later, they're being referred to as masters or gurus or leaders or whatever. They spent time alone. They went on sabbaticals. They went on quests. And, the going away, the leaving from society, or the withdrawing into yourself, right? That's for your own well-being. And what you learn about yourself during those times, these are the jewels of wisdom that you now can share with the world, where you say, listen, when I was, meditating, I went on a meditation retreat, or I went on a wellness retreat, and I had to be alone with myself. This is what I learned about myself. And I found that this is one of those threads that kind of ties us all together as a species. But if you're hiding, first of all, if your fear of being alone, you think that you're hiding something, you're outrunning it. No, what you're doing is you're lying. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself, I'm okay, when you're not okay. So what happens when you do that? Okay, mental health. Mental health is a huge subject matter, and I'm so happy about it, because I feel like this is one of those few indications that we are actually evolving as a species, where we can actually talk about the parts of being human being that's not always like fun, that's not always, I would say, even welcome in everyday conversation. This whole fantasy of what perfection means. I fully believe that being perfect, first and foremost, is an individual thing. You are yourself. That is already unique. There's nobody else walking around, at least in this dimension, that is exactly like you. How can that not be perfect? Okay? So we are now being forced to examine, what does perfect look like if I'm the only version of me that's walking around? It looks like you right now. Broken, flawed, wounded, hurting. That is perfection, because you know what? That is the truth of your human experience. We have to let go of this ideology that there's anyone walking around that's not having a rough time ever, that feels loved and lovable all the time, that feels, honored all the time, that feels heard all the time. There's literally no one walking around like that. There never has been, and there never will be. Why? Because you have too many stories happening all at the same time, and too many energies interacting at the same time. And how you put out your energy and how I perceive energy that you have put out are two completely different experiences. So there is no actual perfection. So therefore, we need to change the definition of what being perfect means. So let's try this. What if perfect means being completely honest about who I am, where I am, spirit, mind, and body in this now moment? If I can be honest about it. Hey, Monica, are you having a great day? Actually, I'm not. Today's kind of a challenge. It's kind of rough. Oh, how are you doing? I'm making it. That's honest. We've been taught as society to go, oh yeah, great, everything's great, it's totally fine. Why? Because we're hiding our truth from people. That, ooh, I hit my mic. That would be considered imperfect because there's a lie being told or there's a lie being projected, right? We're gonna be okay if we fully accept who we are. That is what it means to be, in love with yourself. That's really what it means. Accept who you are right now. Become a champion of who you are right now. It's okay to have a bad day. Please just don't take it out on anyone else. Let's not lash out. It's not necessarily somebody else's fault that you're having a bad day. And even if they have gone out of their way to bother you, you do not have to react in a way that will keep you bothered. You can literally choose to, as Bruce Lee says, be the water and just let that shit keep floating on down the stream. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to be alone. Be excited about learning about who you are. Be excited about taking your self-care and self-love to the next level, to the core of who you are. Be excited about healing. And you cannot do that without being honest about what's broken. Okay? So that's all I have for you this week. Be alone. Be alone. Be alone. Enjoy it. Learn from it. Listen to yourself. Become a student of yourself. Become a champion of yourself. Find reasons to love yourself even with the moments that are uncomfortable. Be alone. It's really good. I promise you. Ask me how I know. I know because I spend so much time alone because I really enjoy my own company and I really enjoy quote unquote problem solving about why I'm not feeling good about something, about a relationship that needs to be evaluated or reevaluated, about the decisions I want to consciously make to ensure that my life is better, always better, that I'm better, that I'm making decisions to be better, that I'm in alignment with my own personal path to ascension. You can't do that with outside noise, people. You can't do that with outside interference, because I promise you, if you let other people tell you who to be, they're going to do it and then they're going to tell you they still don't like you. It's madness. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, if you're enjoying the channels, please make sure you're subscribing to it and like this message and don't forget to comment. All right? Thank you. Have a great week. Namaste.